Read about being in love. Corinthians 13, love. Just saying love, love. I'm talking about the type of love I need in my life, my love. I'm just saying, oh, I'm just saying, oh, I'm just saying, oh, I'm just saying, oh. I don't wanna fight him about love, I'm just keeping it real, I ain't playing. Lord, send me someone right, I keep on asking and you know I keep praying. I need someone who's kind, someone who tells the truth. See, I'm still waiting on a promise, cause I found this love is just about you. I'm talking about the type of love I need in my life, my love.
Yo, said I'm out looking for love in all the wrong places. Looking back at emotionless faces. So many times that I thought I couldn't take this. Go around in circles for ages. Heart on my sleeve, but I guard my feelings. Search for love, trying to find the deeper meanings. No more sunshine, no light beaming. Lonely days and lonely evenings. So send me someone right, so I can finally put this loneliness and pain out aside. And when I get it, I promise that I'll keep on praying. So I'll just wait patiently right here. Yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm talking about the type of love I need in my life, my love. Just say love. Read about being in love. Corinthians 13, love.
Well, it's a good evening from me, Samantha Scott. Glad you could join us. Our topic tonight is racism within the media and music industry. We've got some fantastic guests tonight, all lovely people, all my friends. And I just want to say very quickly that we have some people already online who's joined us. So I'm just going to quickly say hello to Shorty Eve Brims and Donna Hearn. And do you know what? I've just remembered I need to put the link up for YouTube also, which I will do a bit later on. But I'm not going to keep going on about it today because we're not going to waffle. We've got someone here that I want to introduce to you, and I'm just going to quickly flip to something because this person needs no introduction at all. Absolutely brilliant singer, fantastic. And have a look at just
It
one
was pretty
second,
much
Robin.
signing
I
a.
think I think we've lost you on your. There you are.
You got me?
We've got you
Oh,
back.
okay. The dynamics of signing a child over to a record label was really kind of iffy back in those days, as it is now. And so my mom was not really allowed. She didn't want to do that. She didn't feel comfortable. So, I just went on with my life, and I just started, singing with bands and singing with um, different people, kind of like what I'm doing now, and recording with different people. And, the rest is history. But I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the gifts. I'm thankful for the gifts, and I don't take the gifts for granted.
Wow. Do you know, Robin, I've got to ask you the direct question because of the topic today. I'm
Mhm.
asking you, have you ever experienced direct racism before?
I have
Within
wasn't a
within the
lot.
industry, that is. Sorry.
Within the industry, no, not so much so within the industry. It was outside of the industry and doing shows and, you know, my experience within the industry was more of a it wasn't a racial thing. It was a discrimination type thing, you know, because I was too heavy, you know, when I first started, and being too heavy when I first started, you know, you have to lose weight, you have to look this kind of way, you have to be skinny, you have to be more determined to not totally different. So, you know, I just encourage everyone to find their truth and live in it.
Wow. You know, Robin, it's funny because I had all of those discriminations, but then I also had the issue of I was too dark.
See,
So
but I didn't have that, but I got that from peers sometimes, you know, because I was on the lighter side, you know,
yeah,
and they feel like, you know, you get more preferential treatment. And it wasn't true for me. You know, I've had, you know, money and stuff taken from me, a budget wise, to go to other artists, you know, that kind of thing has happened. And I think we've all lived through that at some point in time. I guess if the world were a fair place, we would have nothing to talk about, right?
that's
So
right.
we actually have to just kind of roll with the punches, figure out what our self-worth is, and keep it moving. Keep it moving. During this pandemic, it has taught me so much that I don't need anything extra. I have everything that I need right here, right here, right here. And if you're afraid of this, then I can only imagine what you'll be afraid of when you start checking out what's here, you know? So we just have to roll with it. We have to roll with it, and we have to succeed, because failure is not an option.
You make some very valid points, Robin. I want to just quickly ask you, have you got anything new coming out? In fact, you told me about something new that's coming out and I found it. So before you even start talking, I'm going to go and I'm going to play this here. Just one second. Bear with me, guys. It's coming up any minute now.
There is no shame. There is no shame. So just stay the way you are. Just stay the way you are. Stay the way you are. Don't ever change. Stay the way you are. Stay the way you are. Stay the way you are.
Hmm.
Absolutely
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you. That song was written by myself and Preston Glass. He used to write a lot of songs for Phyllis Hyman and Anita Baker. And that song came out of people wanting you to change, you know, people wanting you to conform to what they thought you should be. The industry wanting you to conform to what they think that you should be, instead of just being your authentic self, and, you know, and rocking and rolling with the people who they can see right through you. You know, I mean, I don't understand how labels feel like, oh, well, if I train you to be this way, and I get the point now because of, you know, everything going crazy. But back then, we had a sense of who we were as women, particularly as women. We had a sense of, okay, I'm not laying down my soul. I'm not selling my soul to sell a record. Most of us did. And so for me to be my authentic self, was so much better than me to be something that, you know, they wanted me to lie about my age when I came out. They wanted me to, I'm not doing that because I can't remember all of that stuff. I'm not getting caught up and entangled in you know, lying about my age. I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. And so, you know, I came out with Take Me As I Am. Take me as I am. I'll rock and roll with you if you can rock and roll with me. And that's the way I've been over the last 25 years. You know, to take me as I am. When I get on stage, I'm just so real when I get on stage, because it's so important that it happens that way. It's so important because people can see right through you. They can tell when you're fake. They can tell when you're putting up a front. Excuse, my phone is going off, but they can tell when you're putting up a front, you know, and you're not authentic. So being authentic is so important. And I think that it's a very necessary thing to happen, you know?
Absolutely. Robin, can I just quickly ask you, where can everyone get this new track of yours? And is it out already, or when is it coming out?
Oh, it's out, my dear. It is out. I have a lot of things that I've been doing under the radar. I have several songs that are out and it's under the radar, but you can get it at iTunes. You can pick it up Amazon. iTunes is the best thing to get it from.
All the major platforms, I'm guessing,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
Robin,
that song was just so powerful, you know, and it's so deeply enrooted now, you know, because with everything that we're doing and everything that's happening with this pandemic, you know, people are losing it, and they're just not, you know, we need to just kind of gravitate to who we are and who God made us to be, you know, and in spite of things shutting down, we still have the authority because God gave it to us. We still have the power and the authority to make things happen.
That's a beautiful place to pass this over to Beverly Skeet, because Beverly, you've worked with just about pretty much every artist, right?
Not everyone, but yes, quite a few. My CV looks pretty good. I'm proud of it. Hey.
Who was the last person you worked with, Bev?
Recently, I suppose Cat Stevens, Mark Knopfler and Cat Stevens. So this is at the beginning of the year, before everything got really mad. So,
okay, and can I just quickly ask you, who was the main artist that you worked with? Because there was a main one, wasn't there, all the way throughout?
Would you mean Bill Wyman?
That's correct. I'm sure.
Well, I was in the studio doing some stuff for Elton John, and the engineer said, Bill Wyman's looking for somebody to sing some, you know, old tunes from the 30s, and I thought you would be perfect for it. And I thought, okay, hey, give him my number. And I went along, did some demos. A couple of the demos were for Chaka Khan to sing. And so I did the demos, and then after I did the demos, he then sent them over to Chaka, and she did a version. And one of them, he said, we've lived with yours so long that we can't hear it any other way. So as much as Chaka did a fantastic job on it, we'd like you to front it and do it. And that was, I think, 96.
Wow,
I stayed for
1996. 1996.
Yeah. 1996. Oh, and there I was, years later.
Bev, the thing is what I'm trying to get to, because we're going to get right into the discussion now, and that is, we spoke about something not too long ago in regards to you being on the tour bus, and I'm going to hand it right back to you.
Well, I wouldn't say this is music industry stuff, but I would say in general, you know, being Black can be tough. And, you know, this was an incident. I've been touring with Bill for years, and we'd do Europe, we'd do America. Well, actually, it was the first time we'd done America because Bill doesn't like to fly. So we do Europe mostly because we could go everywhere by train. And this particular time, we decided we're going to just go everywhere by coach so that we weren't split up. And so we get to Austria, and we're all on the coach, and the guards get on, and they get on, and they say, Bill Wyman. And, you know, they get autographs. Georgie Fame, they get autographs. Peter Frampton, they get autographs. Gary Brooker, they get autographs. And then they get to me and they said, can you step off the bus, please? So I step off of the bus, and I step off the bus and I'm outside. And there was another singer who I'd got to come to do the tour with me, to do some BVs. And she was also a Black singer, Janice Hoyt, and we were both taken outside. The others were inside, including the guitarist Martin Taylor, who was in shock. You know, why? And he was the only one that said, well, why are they being taken off the bus? And he said, nothing to do with you, sir. And there I was outside, stood outside the bus, and having to present my passport, having to give a reason why I'm in Austria. You know, but this was not the first time this had happened. And after a while, Bill would get really angry. And one of the times he got off the bus and said, listen, I am not going to do this show if this happens again, you know, because he'd seen it happen a while and he said nothing, because I kind of said, look, don't worry, this happens all the time. But I mean, it would happen in airports, you know, it would, that they'd all be going into the departure lounge, and I'd still be having my bag checked. And it, you know, it's always, well, it's random.
You know, Bev,
1 million people have gone through already, and this is random, really, you know, but
Bev,
you get used to it.
Bev, I'm sorry
Yes.
that you had that experience. I've had similar ones. I thank you for sharing that with us. I am gonna quickly go over to Aaron, and I'm gonna start putting a time on this now. So Aaron, you've got literally 2 minutes. Have you ever seen other people go through direct racism within this industry?
Yeah, probably a similar story to what actually Beverly's just been speaking about, in terms of like being in an airport somewhere, maybe a bit random. So those countries that don't really see a lot of Black people coming through, and it's usually in those countries where I would see things happening. And I think now this is probably going back to when I used to work with London Community Gospel Choir. So this is sort of late 90s into the early 2000s. Back then, I guess in my mind, I wasn't looking for it, so I didn't see it. And actually, it's something that I kind of think about now and wish that I had been able to do something about it, because I think that's a responsibility that white people do have, is that when we see it, we call it out. But yes, I definitely think that I did see it. But mainly for me, I think it was, looking back, it was mainly around traveling, airports, those sorts of moments. I've seen people have all of their like belongings taken out of their suitcase, and you know, nothing to me, nothing to any of the other white people in that group. So, you know, you do wonder.
You know, Aaron, you work with an array of people also. Who was the last person you worked with?
Before COVID hit, I managed to get a tour in just in time with Michael Ball and Alfie Bow. So that was like very kind of musical theatre kind of stuff, which is not the usual stuff that I kind of sing, but it was a great tour. We had a great time. So that was the last sort of job, if you like.
Okay, and after I ask you this question, I'm going to go to Terry. I just want to ask you, what do you think about? Do you think that the media has a big part to play in this? In institutional racism? Absolutely,
yeah. I think it does. It just it has a big part to play in it, and definitely for prolonging it. And I think the media could actually do a lot of good where this is concerned, but you know, as wrong or right as it might be, it's a business, like the music industry is a business, and they're there to make money. So they'll make money however they want to make money, right? So they'll spin stories and things like that. So I don't think they're doing enough. I think they need to do more. There's a lot of bandwagon jumping when, you know, something hits, like the George Floyd murder and things like that. I think sometimes the media does it to get attention for their own company or whatever, whichever company runs that story. Who can be first there? You know, who can be first to do it? You know, and it just makes you think: is this fake? You know. So yeah, that's my kind of take on the media. Yeah.
Okay. Terry, I'm going to come to you, and you two, you have 2 minutes. Let's unmute you though, Terry.
I've got millions of stories like that. Loads of them to do with traveling, as Bev says. Hi, Bev, by the way, I haven't seen you for ages.
Hi.
But when we were touring with Baby D, it just became the running joke, because there was a manager, a white guy. There was D, that was the singer, and more often than not, it would just be the three of us, and it became a joke because we'd go through customs, and every time I'd get stopped. I mean, literally, it became, I just know it's going to happen. So they'd go through and they'd just go and get a coffee and just wait, because they knew, they didn't even look behind sometimes. They just knew it's going to happen. But like Aaron said, that's kind of more to do with traveling around and going to places where there may not be a black population, or it may not be a regular occurrence for them. But also within the industry, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen firsthand. I've been in meetings where they've said, nah, that's not going to work. That lineup is too ethnic, or that the lead, that you need to push that person to the front in the video. All that kind of sort of insidious stuff, which at the time you're kind of having a good time, and you don't really want to rock the boat, because you want your stuff you want it to kind of get to the next level. But there was times when me and my bandmates, we kind of just said, nah, ain't having that. Doing it. Yep. And it's one of the reasons that we think, when we had a song at #1 and the Top of the Pops wanted us to go on there live, they called the label and they said I had to tell them every single word that I'm going to say, even though I'm on the MC side of things, so I'm going to kind of freestyle and go with the crowd and kind of get them all going. No, you have to tell us every single word you're going to say, or you're not going on there live. And I just said, I can't do that. So we were never on Top of the Pops. Okay. Even though we were #1 like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, just weren't on there. Okay.
And I'm I'm going to add to that, Terry, because there's been many a times that I've voiced a song, and the people who I've voiced the song for have said they will be using another face for it, for the very reason that it's not going to get very far with my face on it, simply because I'm too dark. Or should I say, and I'm not a stick.
As well.
Yeah, so it really does happen. But I'm going to go to Lindsay Wesker, who worked on MTV for many, many years, having a say, in what goes on and what doesn't go on on MTV. Let's hear from you, Linz.
I mean, I've been so lucky to work in the black music industry since 1981. You know, that's how long I've been around. I started on a newspaper called Black Echoes. And, you know, advertising was down, so they lost the word black and they called it Echoes. And for so many years afterwards, I was getting grief. I was only there for 2 years and people were giving me grief like decades later, you know, oh, why did you drop the black? So it's like nothing to do with me, all right? Then I moved into record labels and yeah, I mean, I had a really weird incident at one of the record labels I was working at. I had been hired by the record label to kind of work on their black music roster. So they asked me to sign British black music acts, and Derek Green was one of the people I signed. And I was working with the American catalog. They were an American record label. They had fantastic catalog coming over from America. And I was like constantly in A&R meetings sort of saying, we've got fantastic music coming over from America. We really need to work on this. And yeah, I bugged the hell out of them. I really got on their nerves. I mean, I think the reason they were feeling so sorry for themselves is because the UK acts they had signed were doing absolutely nothing. And it was only really the black American acts that were sort of selling. So they, you know, I really got on their nerves, I guess, because I was just sort of saying, look, here's the money. Let's concentrate on these black American acts. You are an American label, fantastic catalog. Let's work with it. So they had an A&R meeting one week, and I wasn't there for that A&R meeting, and they kind of sort of said, look, we think we should let everybody know that we're letting Lindsay go. And my boss, you know, the guy who ran the A&R department at the time, said, you know, if he wants to be like one, we're going to treat him like one.
Wow.
Now, I only found out about that because a mate of mine was in the A&R meeting, and like many years later, after I'd been let go by that company, he said, I think you should know, Lindsay, that's what was said to you know, and that's what was said out loud in the meeting. And you know, this guy, my wife will never ever forgive him. You know, just don't get her started on this subject. He actually apologized to me like decades later. But you know, that was the reason I was kind of let go by that company, because I was sort of, you know, just, well, I don't know, trying to help them make money. And then I worked at Kiss FM between 86 and 94. And Robin, I think you should know, I was the first head of music to playlist Show Me Love. I was the first. It wasn't even released in the UK. We had a big beat 12-inch single, playlisted it on import. Same with CeCe Peniston, finally, you know, all of those tunes first.
Well, thank you.
My pleasure, my God. And what really tickles me, Robin, is it's now all over pop radio. It's like, you know, everybody forgets that back in the day you were an underground artist. You know, you were underground, and now you're so pop in the UK. It's so funny. But what happened at Kiss was a really sort of funny situation. Well, it wasn't a funny situation. It was just absolutely ridiculous. The advertisers couldn't understand that, you know, we were playing black music, but it was for everybody. It wasn't just for the black audience. One advertiser actually came back to somebody in our sales team and said, I want to advertise on a radio station where the listenership buy cars, not steal cars.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, Lindsay.
Mary's jaws dropped.
Lindsay, I was just about to say, I think I'm going to hand this right over to Mary Pierce. Do you know, I wish we had a lot longer, but we don't. And I wouldn't have mind. In fact, when we finish, I'll probably get on your phone and hear the rest of that story. But at the moment, I'm going to hand it over to Mary Pierce, who's worked with a load of artists also, and is an artist within her own right, and a very, very good one.
Good evening, one and all. Wow, Lindsay, I'm gobsmacked. But yeah, I think, you know, as a general rule, I think I've been quite fortunate. If the racism has happened within my industry, within what I do, it's been very light. But like with Bev and with Aaron, the travel part has been the bit where it's been most prevalent and most obvious to me. You know, I was one time, and I'm quite, you know, I'm known as Fierce Pierce. So, you know, I'm quite good at saying what I need to say. And one time, you know, I got off of a train here in England, traveling up north somewhere, and we got off the train. We, you know, we had our tickets stamped on the train, so there was nothing else to do. Once you got to your destination, you could just go straight through. And it was, you know, one of the more smaller train stations, quite provincial, but we're going out of the train, and so there were 6 Black people and 1 or 2 white people, you know, in the whole ensemble. But we're walking because we've got a gig that night, and I'm going up, and I passed the ticket attendant because he was talking to somebody. And I thought, well, my ticket's been stamped. I have it in my pocket. I'm very sure of that. So I'm just going to walk through. And he obviously wanted me to stop and wait for him to do his job. But I wasn't stopping. So I carried on walking. And I got more than halfway up the ramp at the station to leave. And the person that I was working with called me and said, the man wants to check your ticket. So I said, well, if he wants to come up here, he can check it. I'm not walking back to him because he was too busy having a conversation. And I said, and there are a lot of places in England that I would like to stop. This is not one of them that I wanted to gate crash. So if he wants to come and ask me for my ticket, he must come up here. You know, he saw us. I'm not being funny. There were 6 Black people. We were the only 6 Black people. We brought the demographic up by 100% in that area on that day. So it's not like he didn't see us coming, but he was trying to almost, this is what you're supposed to do. You wait for me. I'm so not waiting. I'm not that girl. So I walked off, and I said to him, I have my ticket here. If you want to see it, you can follow me. And, you know, everybody else was hustling. I said, we've already had our ticket stamped. We're valid. Let's go. We're not breaking the law. So I'm quite good at saying my piece, and, you know, and hitting it right in the face when it happens, you know. But I don't think I've been asked definitely to wear a shorter skirt when I was younger, you know, sort of 22, 23. I'm only 25 now. But when I was sort of 22, 23, I've been asked to wear a shorter skirt for a record deal, you know, and that was said to me, you know, you could stand to lose 10 pounds and wear a shorter skirt, babe, if you want to do well in this industry. And I was like, there was no hashtag Me Too back in those days, but there was a hashtag You Can Do One from me. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I definitely left that meeting, and I didn't. And, you know, like you, Sam, I've been asked, I've definitely ghosted vocals for artists in the past, and I've never been the front person, but I make sure that I've got paid. You know, I know of singers who have got fantastic vocals, who have been, and are Black women who are doing vocals, and in the video, they've been replaced by fish. They are not front facing. The tune is there. That's their voice playing. But a fish has been doing that instead while their vocal is actually coming out, because, you know, we signed that waiver form where we won't be replaced by another singer in the video. So they put a fish when she was singing instead.
Welcome to Mary Pierce. Mary Pierce, did you just say a fish?
A fish. You know, and the lips were
excellent, absolutely brilliant.
She's a fantastic singer. They called her to do the video, and she was dressed to kill, makeup done, and they had a model come in, and the model was supposed to do this other bit, and you know, they put in a white girl model, you know, beautiful face, but then they went to film her on her back, and she had poor skin and on her back. She had very poor skin. They could not do anything. There was not an amount of makeup that could cover up the poor skin. But my girlfriend, who at the time was, her skin was like a baby's bum on her back. So they had to put her in the video, but they put her in video and just showed her back.
Wow.
But it was her singing.
Okay.
Awful.
Okay. Okay. So you see, it's as I thought it was. I mean, on what I would say on the ground, in this industry, you don't really come across it amongst each other, meaning the singers and so on and so forth. Not so much. I've never really come across it with my friends or singers or people who I've worked with. But you tend to come across it when traveling. You tend to come across it when you're talking about going right up the top of the scale. But as people in the industry, we are, in a way, we don't sort of experience it with each other as other people do in other industries. The problem is, because we still experience it from the higher powers that be, then, like, you know, the media and whoever is A&R, whoever it is in that sense, we still are stopped in a way in getting to where we ought to be. Now, Mary Pierce, I forgot to ask you, who was the last person you worked with?
I still am currently, even though COVID says no, working, and I have done for the last 20 something years with Boy George and Culture Club.
Right. Okay.
I'm what's known as his diva.
And that you are, Mary. Right. So Beverly had been working with Bill Wyman. She's worked with a load of people. I'm just naming the main ones here. Aaron, I'm not sure who your main person was that you worked with for the majority of the time.
I mean, it's switched really from different artists. There's nobody that I've kind of consistently worked with over the course of time, but more recently Beverly Knight, which also Mary's worked for in the past as well. Gorillaz, and then like in the R&B world, John B from the States.
Okay.
So yeah, they're very varied kind of artists.
Okay. And Terry, I know you worked with Baby D. You didn't just work with Baby D, you produced her as well, and pretty much done the production for the track along with Floyd, if I'm correct. With Floyd Dice, that is. Robin, we know who you are. We know who you are. Lindsay, as far as I'm concerned, his face will always be connected to MTV, although he writes books and so on and so forth as well. Myself, the main person I work with is Boney M. But, you know, I mean, at this time, I'm going to go to the ads, okay? And then I'm going to throw the floor open to any other topic. But I don't know if we've finished discussing this topic as of yet. So if you want to continue with this, feel free. We'll just have an amalgamation of topics, won't we? Okay, but for now, you've got your 3-minute break. We're going for an ad break, and we'll see you back on the other side.
Hi guys, it's Aspen Olsen here. Just wanted to tell you that my new book, Through the Eyes of a Teenager, is out to download now on Amazon. You can download the Kindle version or you can order the paperback. Bye!
Hi, My name's Beverly Skeet, and guess what? I've been making good use of the lockdown time. I've made an album, it's called Liberty, and this is the first single from it, Can't Do Right for Doing Wrong. It's been a long time coming, and I've been looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. It'll be released on the 31st of August. I hope you like it. Take care. Bye. Be safe.
Hey guys, my name is Aaron Sokel. I am a singer-songwriter, vocal arranger and vocal coach, originally from Newcastle, but I've lived in London for the last 25 years. I can be found on most social media channels as my name. So if you just search AaronSokel, you'll find me. I look forward to seeing you there. I have some new music coming out, I think beginning of September. So look out for that. And I look forward to seeing you on the flip side. All right, peace.
What do the new power generation, Rochelle Farrell and Mint Condition all have in common? They've all been guests on the Wayne Picard radio show Black in 3D on k2kradio.com, London and worldwide. If you want to check out my Listen Again page, go on to mixcloud.com/Black in 3D. The coolest show on the planet, the Wayne Picard radio show Black in 3D. Peace.
Don't be shy, give me this, sweet. Give it to me now, 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 now. Come on, give me that now, give me that now. Give it to me now, 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 now. Come on, give me that now, give me that now.
Okay, so we're back with you, and I just want to quickly come back to Robin. Robin, would you say that the industry then has been somewhat kind to you?
I guess I would say I just didn't pay people any mind. You know, I knew what I was after. You know, I had a goal. I had I wouldn't say that I just let it roll off my back. I just didn't pay attention to it. You know, if there was, I experienced the same in traveling. You know, when people started talking, my peers started talking about it, you know, I was like, oh yeah, you know what? That did happen to me a couple of times. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. I remember that. But I just didn't let people in the industry stop me. You know, I know my self-worth. And in knowing my self-worth and living on the corner of truth and transparency for myself, I don't care about anybody else's measurement.
Absolutely. I love that. I absolutely love that. I'm just going to quickly go to Facebook, and I'm just going to quickly say hello to Shorter Eve Brims, Donna Hearn, Remy Law, Jordan Bailey, Rex Mason, Di Green Eyes, Vaughan Glow, Denise Dice, Orville Douglas, Harold Appiah, Stefan Bean, Ruby Roo, Izzy Roberts, Dorrit Brown, Jacqueline Chedding Smith, Floyd Dice. I don't know if I can pronounce this correctly, but we've got Yoms Andrew Badmos Jr. I hope I've pronounced that right. And we've got Heather Hayward, we have Beverly Brown, we have Chanel Nicole Brown, we have got Miss Cock Patterson Wesker, we've got, wow, there's quite a few people in the room tonight. We've got Patricia Emmanuel, we have Everine, we've got Loxley Williams, Gary Poole, Silence Johnson, Carmelita Pereira, Jeff Schumann, Rayon Clark, Cara Woods, we've got Adiboye, we have Valentina Russo, and there's some comments here as well. So let me just quickly go back. Let's see. Jordan Bailey is saying, in 1980s with Eddie Grant, booked in Rochester, New York, they didn't know he was black, so he couldn't play that night. Wow. Wow. That's something, Jordan. Okay, there's some more comments here. Di Green, as you're saying, I used to buy that paper every week. Lindsay, I think she's talking about Black Echo or Echo. We have got Silence Johnson. Finally, great. It's about time to expose the industry for what it is. And Beverly Brown is saying, Mary Pierce, love it. The Di Green Eyes is saying, liberties. Patricia Emanuel is saying, wow, out of order. There's certain things. Oh, and Ruby Roo is saying, that is awful, disgusting. You know, I'm going to come back to the panel because if you've watched before, you'll know that we go to any other topic towards the end of the show. And I'm going to throw the topics open. So we're going to bring back entanglement today. We're going to bring back entanglement. And I'm going to go straight to you, Lindsay.
No, 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 Samantha. Not this subject again. You know, it's going to get very irate. Everybody's going to start shouting at everybody. You know what's going to happen. Anyway, just picking up from last week's story, we talked about this on this show. And I said, I'm absolutely certain August Alsina must have a new release in the pipeline. And literally 48 hours after saying that on this show, I read on Twitter that he was releasing a new single and it was called Entanglement. So it's like, you know, the whole thing happened many years ago. Why you're talking about it now, boy? Okay, that's why, because you've got a new release coming out. This is classic music industry behavior, you know. Ruby Roo particularly loved my comment last week about August trying to just get some extra column inches. But it's like, you know, that's what it was. That's all it was, you know. He had a single coming out. He needed extra column inches.
You know, Lindsay, you got a bit bruised last week, didn't you? Because no one was agreeing with you last week, were they? But I'm
a cynic. This is how the music industry works.
Okay, look, I'm just going to quickly read. Okay, 1 second. Oh, Di Green Eyes is saying, who else have you worked with, Sam? Why are you cutting yourself short? Because it's a lot to mention. Everyone on here, Di, has worked with a plethora of them, like a whole load of people. But okay, I mean, off the top of my head, I've worked with Gene Khan, and you know, it's really difficult to reel off people off the top of your head like that, as everyone sitting on this panel will know. But it's not about that today, Di. 1 second, I'm just trying to proofread before I actually read out what someone said on Facebook, just in case. Ruby Roo is saying, I think there are lots of things, records not being played, unable to get a contract, or if you do, you and your songs not being supported. There are so many things. You are right. You're absolutely right, Ruby. That does go on, and it goes on quite a lot. Ronnie Edwards is saying, hey sis, I'm listening, Robin. And we've got Ricky Washington in the house. How you doing? And okay, Beverly Brown is saying, Eddie Grant, you know we're not even talking about 50s or 60s here now, are we? Wow. Let's see. Ruby Roo, Entanglement. I would have sent you a video that I watched. Was hilarious. Di Green Eyes, Lindsay, don't want no entanglement. Okay, we've got Izzy Roberts saying, I remember a tour with Liberty, a band in Cyprus in the 80s. where we had many problems with pay, venue management, and I led a sit into the British Embassy in Nicosia until we got our tickets changed to the back home, to get back home early than the finish. We met Cypriot friends and secured a few backup gigs to keep us going. It came down to a black group of musicians in a country that did not treat black people well. It's always a battle. Wow. Okay, so we're coming back to this entanglement. I mean, Lindsay, he was bruised and he was mentally, I don't even know if he's mentally stable still, but you know, I can see you shaking your head and holding your head. But I'm going to go to, for a minute, I'm going to go to Terry Jones.
Samantha, the word vulnerable and the word rapper. You know, you can't put those two words together. He's a hardback man. He knows what he's doing.
He's 22. Okay, Terry Jones. We need to unmute yourself, Terry Jones.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes, yes.
I think there's half a dozen, six of one and half a dozen of the other to a certain degree. He's a guy. She's Jada Pinkett. Any over 20 years old, you're going to be interested. My issue is that she should have known better.
Yes.
Not whether he wanted to get in there or whatever, whether he fell in love with her or whatever. I think she should have known better. Not only not to take advantage of him, but also she's a bad judge of character, in my opinion, then, if she thinks that, because he talked in the end. So she didn't judge him well enough to know that he wasn't going to keep his mouth shut at some point. But also, I feel there's also a bit of industry, you know, he's got a record coming out, whoever's behind him, whoever's in with the label, what dirt have you got? How can we promote this? That's a great story. That is going to get you column inches, as Lindsay says. And it did. People are going to buy that song just to listen to it. They're just going to want to hear it, regardless of whether they like it or not. They're going to be interested in him as an artist. And that's all there is to it. Having said that, I still disagree with Jada, and she's lost a few points with me.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go to you, Robin. Robin is, I love that. We're going to go to Robin. Robin, what do you think about all this entanglement thing? Okay, we're gonna go to someone else for a minute. Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Let's go to Beverly.
I feel left out here because I really don't know this story very well.
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna move on because don't worry, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to Mary Pierce. No, but you were here last week. So let's quickly hear from Aaron. I'm sorry, Mary. Let's hear from Aaron, and then let's try going back to Robin afterwards. So, Aaron, what do you say about all this entanglement stuff?
I mean, I don't really have anything to add to what Terry said. I pretty much just agree with what he said. I think she had a responsibility to be the one to, stop, because it is that thing of like someone young and impressionable, no matter if it's a female or a male, when they're that young, it's a responsibility you have as a grown up or an adult or an older person to to kind of cut that off. But there's also you could say there's also a responsibility from his side, because he should also know that he's overstepping a mark, and that is not even just to do with the fact that she's an older woman. it's also to do with the fact that she's married, she has a husband, you know.
He's also his friends with his son.
Yeah.
Yep. And she
Madness.
took him in under her wing because he wasn't well. Okay, let's see if we can get to Robin again. Just 1 second. 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, Robin, what do you think about the entanglement?
Okay, being honest and living on that rail of truth and transparency, it's really none of my business.
Okay.
It's really none of my business.
I love that answer, Robin. I love that answer. I'm going to go to Mary Pierce.
I mean, I kind of still think that I'm just going to unveil it as a general thing. I don't know the people personally involved, you know, but as a general thing, I was 22 once, and I remember finding myself in a situation, and, you know, I thought I was young and, you know, and I knew it all, and the world was shutting, you know, and I found myself at a guy's house, and there was going to be an entanglement of all proportions. And, you know, and I then said at the last minute, oh no, that's not what I want. And he went bananas and told me off, like, and chastised me like I was a girl, which I was. And he said, you shouldn't be in my house. You know, you've put yourself in a vulnerable position, you know, and I did, you know, it was stupid, you know. I didn't really know what I was doing, kind of thing. I was kind of being a bit of an idiot, to put a finer phrase on it. I think, you know, when you're that age, you think that you know it all, and then 5 years later, when you are 27, you think that you know it all. And 5 years after that, when you are 32, you think you know it all. The next thing you know, you are 55 with children coming up, and you've got to explain it to them about what life is. So I think that I think that in general terms, he thought that he knew it all at 22. He really did. And 5 years before that, when he was 17, he thought that he knew it all. But in fact, at 22, he still doesn't know that he doesn't know anything. He who knows not and knows that he knows not is wise, follow him. But I think that if you put yourself in a vulnerable position, you know, regardless of who is in front of you, you've got to be, you need to understand the position that you're in the first place to be able to make a cogent decision.
Agreed.
I don't think that he really understood the magnitude of
what he was getting himself into.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what?
These people business.
I just want to quickly go. I'm moving on now. Sorry, Terry. I just want to quickly go on to this because, and it is something that I intend to have a whole show on. Okay, but we are going to touch on it very briefly now, and that is there is something going on with Black Lives Matter where there are people talking about or have heard people talking about anti-Semitism and things like that. And now there's a whole Jewish community, or the majority of the Jewish community are now saying that Black Lives Matter is a Marxist movement and so on and so forth. Has anyone heard about that at all?
Yep.
Do you want to speak on that, Terry?
For me, I made a distinction between the organization, BLM as an organization, and the statement, I made a distinction between those two things a while ago, and I mentioned it to people I knew, and because I did some research on who were the founders of the organization, what they did, what have they done before, and what are they doing now? Why are they doing it? And there were things that they were saying in their manifesto or their what they were trying to do that I didn't feel comfortable with.
Okay, are you talking about George Suarez?
No, I'm talking George Soros. Apparently, they're saying he donates to them. I don't even know if that's true. I'm not sure about whether that's all a red herring or a smokescreen or whatever. But what I have seen, I've seen that at least one of the founders, and she spoke for both of them, the two main founders of the organization, not the movement, because I see that as a separate thing, but the organization who you can donate money to. She was in an interview and she said, "We're trained Marxists."
Oh wow!
We are trained Marxists, and in terms of whether that means that that's what they're trying to do now, or whether it means that that's their background. If it is what they're trying to do now, I don't agree with it, because Marxism is a form of beyond communism, and it's not me. I can see why they would lean towards that, and I can see there's a philosophy behind it, but for me, Karl Marx was not an amazing person, and he caused a lot of problems. So maybe his heart was in the right place, but it's not for me.
Okay, is there anyone else who's heard about this? I think, Mary, you were saying earlier on that you had heard about it. Have you heard about it, Bev?
I have. The thing about it is, look, we have to be wary, just as we were talking about the entanglement and talking about how people jump on the bandwagon of things. This is no different. It's something that started off for a reason, but now the reason has gone somewhere else, because there are people who see an opportunity here to air their washing. And that's what's happening. And what will happen is it will be the whole point of having an organization like this will be destroyed, because we have all these different arms that are saying, this is a great opportunity for me to have my say now. Do you know what? This has been bugging me for a long time. This is a platform for me. And that's what's happening at the moment. And the whole Jewish thing, I think that is going to explode for sure. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I feel a bit like Terry, where you have to wonder then if we don't have to start from scratch again. Different organization, completely start again, because we need an organization that's looking out for the issues that need to be covered right now. Is this the organization? That's my question.
Okay, all right. Mary, did you have something to say about it?
I'm sure that I don't know enough about the background. I mean, I understand what the BLM movement stood for, as it first came about, but I don't know enough about this topic to make a real contribution, I'm afraid.
I appreciate that very much, Mary.
I have a lot of friends from all different faiths and so on and so forth. I don't want to offend anybody by being too vague.
Thank you very much, Mary. And to be fair, it's something that's only just arisen. So I believe. Yeah. So I don't. Yeah.
But I just think I don't know enough.
Yeah. No. So I don't think anybody knows enough. myself included, we're speculating here. But it's an interesting conversation to have. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and I am going to go to yourself, Aaron and Lindsay, should you want to speak about that as well. But I just wanted to quickly throw in there before we went to the ads to come to a close, about the wearing of the masks. I'm going to go to Lindsay on that. And I'm sure he's going to come back on the entanglement for a minute.
Definitely not. No more entanglement.
Okay.
Tonight. No more entanglement. Yeah, you're going to have to wear a mask in public places. You're going to have to wear a mask in public places. I wear a mask. I mean, I'm, supermarkets always got my mask. I mean, it's been quite distressing, really. Lots of people wandering around in my local Sainsbury's, not wearing a mask. It's like, hello, we're like in a really confined space. I mean, obviously the supermarkets have only been allowing a certain number of people in there. So we're kind of more spaced out than we used to be, but you really should be wearing a mask. Public transport, there's still a lot of people, even though there's big ass signs as you go into the train stations, you've got to wear a mask. There are still people on the trains not wearing masks. I actually had to go through the centre of London on Monday morning, and it'll be my first time on a crowded train. So I'm kind of, obviously I'm going to have my mask. I'm very, very nervous about it, because that was the last time I got ill, was on a very, very crowded train. And crowded trains are just, like test tubes full of sick people. So I'm really, really nervous about it.
Okay, I'm going to go to Robin, because it looks like Robin is literally about to put one on.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Wearing a mask, it not only protects myself, but it protects the other person. And I think if we cared about each other enough, first caring about ourselves, but then caring about other people, because, other people have elderly people at home, other people have children at home, other people have, pre-existing situations going on, such as myself with asthma. So it's very personal for me when I am in a supermarket and we're supposed to be social distancing, and you're up on me. I don't have a problem with saying, excuse me, you mind backing up? You're invading my space. So it's very important, because they're going to end up shutting everything down again if we don't. It's so important. I can't emphasize it as much. I mean, even I'm trying to figure out, okay, I need to get me a bling bling mask, so when I go back to singing, I'm, my lips are nothing's touching anything, and I'm not breathing on anything, because I have asthma. So yes, it's personal, and I think that we should care about one another enough to say, you know what, I'm protecting myself, but I'm protecting you also.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Robin. Okay, Hillary Jordan on Facebook is saying, mask must, Hillary Jordan is saying, but why can't we wear masks in schools? What are your thoughts? And Ronnie Edwards is saying masks must and should be worn, but it needs to be enforced by the different establishments. Now, I believe you should be wearing masks when you're in a close encounter. But when you go to the workplaces where they say you're going to be with people for an amount of time, and schools, they're saying that you needn't wear the masks there. And they're saying it's because it doesn't give the kind of protection that it should, because you're with people for a longer time. And I just, forgive me, but I just don't get it. I would have thought that you would need to wear the mask and keep changing it, no? Yes, Mary.
Don't you? I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's very confusing. I mean, our leaders are confused as to whether to or not to wear the mask. So I am wearing a mask, and I have been since March. I wear a mask when I go out. I've got different color ones. You know, I'm making it a fashion statement. My mask, my dark glasses, I look fly in my mask. I don't care. I would rather look fly than die. How's that for a ringtone?
Absolutely.
No,
Now, you
so
know, Rube, sorry, Mary.
I think you know, the people who are in offices, they can't wear masks all day long. You know, sometimes the masks do hold the droplets of what you're breathing out inside the mask. If you're wearing a mask for all day and you don't get to take it off and you're wearing a mask all day, it can be a lot. I think I get that. Me going into Sainsbury's for an hour and a half wearing a mask and fine and get home. My daughter hates wearing the mask. She hates it. She finds it claustrophobic. Every
So
time
do I.
she's 9 years old, and for me to convince her to put that mask on, I have to promise her all sorts of things. But she does wear it. She does comply because I'm not having it any other way. But I think, wear your mask. Look after, like Robin says, if you're looking after you, then you're looking after everybody else at the same time.
Okay, and I'm just going to quickly come to, thank you very much, Mary. I'm going to quickly come to, we're running out of time now. I'm coming to Ruby Roo. She says, I'm not buying into this mask thing. Masks now after we are out of the pandemic. I don't know about that, Ruby Roo, because to be honest, I have to be fair. I have to be fair, Ruby. I'm sorry, but I personally don't like other people's germs anyway. So
we're not out of the pandemic yet.
So
we're not out of the pandemic. We're just outside.
She calls it no. She said a plandemic.
Okay.
Pandemic.
Okay.
Can I just say that, you know, we've had people, nurses and doctors and people on the front line they don't have a choice, having to wear these masks all day. The least that we can do, it's a small amount of time in our lives. You're just going to the shop 25 minutes, an hour. It's not too much to ask to wear a mask. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to quickly come to who has not spoken for a little while. Who should we close with today?
Aaron.
That's what I was going to say. I think we're coming to you, Aaron.
Thanks, Beverly. She's like, Aaron. It's either, actually, I'll just clear this up, right? People always ask me, is it Aaron or Aaron? And it's actually Aaron, but I answer to both. And a whole host of other names as well. So, yeah, I totally agree and totally resonate with everything people have said. It's just the good thing to do. It's not for an extended amount of time, and you know, there's moments when you can be far enough away from people. If you need to have a little breather away from the mask, you can lift it and have a breather. But while you're out in the public area, wear a mask.
Okay, thank you very much.
Protect others.
Thank you very, very much, Robin. I just want to quickly come back to you and say thank you so very much for joining us all on the panel. I can see you're out doing your shopping now. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And I want to say bye-bye to all of the rest of the guests on here. Terry, Bev, Mary, Lindsay, Aaron, Robin. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining in. And I'm going to go to the adverts now. So please, can everybody mute themselves?